From failure to fortune, how setbacks lead to success. Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever felt like giving up after a failure? Like the universe was telling you that success just wasn't meant for you? If so, you're not alone. Every great success story starts with a failure. Think about this. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. But what did they do? They turned their failures into stepping stones for their greatest achievements. Failure is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of something greater. It's the lesson, the fuel, and the push that can take you from setbacks to success, if you learn how to use it. Today, I want to show you how failure is not your enemy, but your greatest teacher, and how you can turn your failures into fortune. Let's begin. Failure is not the end, it's the beginning of something greater. Too often we see failure as a dead end, a sign that we should quit. But in reality, failure is a stepping stone to success. It is proof that we tried, that we took a risk, that we put ourselves out there. The most successful people in the world, not those who never failed, but those who never gave up after failing. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall hundreds of times before they take their first real steps, but they don't stop trying. They don't think, maybe walking isn't for me. No, they get back up again and again until they master it. Somewhere along the way, as we grow older, we forget this simple truth. We start believing that failure is a sign to stop, when in reality it's a sign to learn, adjust, and push forward. Every failure carries a lesson. It shows us what doesn't work, what needs improvement, and where we need to grow. The key is not to let failure define us, but to let it refine us. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the ability to rise after every fall. So the next time you face failure, don't see it as a roadblock, see it as a new path opening up. Because every great success story begins with a moment of struggle, and every champion was once a beginner who refused to quit. Failure is often seen as something negative, something to be ashamed of. But what if I told you that failure is actually one of life's greatest teachers? Every time we fail, there is a lesson hidden within that moment, something valuable that can guide us towards success. The problem is that most people focus so much on the pain of failure that they miss the lesson entirely. Think about Thomas Edison, who famously failed over 1,000 times before successfully inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he simply said he had not failed, he had just found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's the mindset of a winner. Every failure brought him one step closer to success because he chose to learn from it instead of being discouraged by it. When we fail, we have two choices: dwell on the disappointment or analyze what went wrong and improve. Those who succeed are the ones who take a step back, reflect, and ask, what can I learn from this? Maybe failure is telling you to try a different approach, to sharpen your skills, or to work harder. Maybe it's revealing a weakness that you need to strengthen. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough, see it as a roadmap showing you where you need to grow. Every lesson you learn from failure makes you wiser, stronger, and more prepared for success. So the next time you stumble, don't let frustration blind you. Look deeper, find the lesson, and use it as fuel to move forward. Because success isn't about never falling. It's about learning every time you do. Some of the most successful people in history were once considered failures. They were doubted, rejected, and even told they would never make it. But instead of letting failure define them, they used it as a stepping stone to greatness. Their stories prove that setbacks are not the end of the road. They are just a part of the journey to success. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He co-founded Apple, but in 1985, he was forced out of his own company. Imagine that, being fired from the company you built. Most people would have given up, but not him. Instead, he used that failure to reinvent himself, launching Pixar and Next, both of which became huge successes. Eventually, he returned to Apple and transformed it into one of the most valuable companies in the world. His failure wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of something greater. Oprah Winfrey was once told she wasn't fit for television. She was fired from her first broadcasting job, but instead of giving up, she kept pushing forward. Today, she is one of the most influential media personalities in history, proving that rejection is just a redirection towards something better. And then there's Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and faced multiple business failures before finally creating Disneyland. If he had listened to the critics, the world would have never known Mickey Mouse, Disney World, or the countless stories that have inspired generations. These stories teach us an important lesson. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of it. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure stop them. They keep going, they keep learning, and eventually they turn their failures into fortune. So the next time you face a setback, remember, you are in good company. Your success story is still being written. Keep going. Failure is often seen as something to fear, but what if we changed the way we looked at it? What if, instead of seeing failure as a dead end, we saw it as feedback? The truth is, failure is not a sign that you should stop. It's a message telling you what needs to change. It's life's way of guiding you toward improvement, growth, and eventually success. Think about a scientist running an experiment. If the experiment fails, they don't throw their hands up in defeat. They analyze the results, adjust their methods, and try again. They see failure not as proof that their idea was wrong, but as data that helps them get closer to the right answer. The same principle applies to life. Every failure you experience is giving you valuable feedback about your strategies, your skills, and even your mindset. The key is to stop taking failure personally. It's not a reflection of your worth or potential. It's simply information. When something doesn't work, instead of saying, "I'm a failure," start asking, "What can I learn from this? What can I do differently next time?" That simple shift in mindset turns failure from an obstacle into an opportunity. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by learning from it. Every wrong turn, every mistake, and every setback taught them something valuable. And because they treated failure as feedback, they kept improving until they finally succeeded. So the next time you fail, don't let it discourage you. Instead, listen to what it's trying to teach you. Adjust, improve, and keep moving forward. Because the ones who win in life are not those who never fail, but those who use failure as a stepping stone to success. Success is not about never falling. It's about having the strength to get back up every time you do. The one quality that separates those who achieve greatness from those who give up is resilience. Life will knock you down, challenges will test you, and failure will try to break you. But those who rise, those who refuse to stay down, are the ones who ultimately succeed. Think about any great athlete, entrepreneur, or leader. They didn't reach the top without facing setbacks. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Instead of giving up, he used that failure as motivation to work harder, improve his game, and become a legend. Resilience means choosing to push forward even when things seem impossible. It's the voice inside that says, "This is not the end of my story." Every challenge, every rejection, every failure is a test of how badly you want your goal. The truth is, success isn't given, it's earned by those who are willing to fight for it. When you face failure, you have two options. You can let it defeat you. The most successful people are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They understand that every setback is temporary and that persistence is the key to overcoming any obstacle. So when life knocks you down, don't stay down. Get up stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. Because resilience is the secret ingredient to success, and those who master it are the ones who turn failure into fortune. Failure is not the end of the road. It's a detour that leads to new opportunities. Some of the greatest successes in history happen not because people avoided failure, but because they learned to adapt and innovate after failing. The ability to adjust your approach, change your mindset, and find new solutions is what turns setbacks into stepping stones for success. Think about the story of Henry Ford. His first two automobile businesses failed, leaving him nearly broke. But instead of giving up, he analyzed what went wrong and adjusted his strategy. He innovated, refining his production process, and eventually created the Ford Motor Company, revolutionizing the automobile industry. His failure forced him to think differently, and that's what made all the difference. Sometimes failure happens because the approach we are using isn't the right one. That doesn't mean the goal is impossible. It simply means we need to rethink our strategy. Companies like Netflix and Amazon didn't start as the giants they are today. They adapted, changed, and innovated their business models in response to challenges. If they had stuck to their original plans without adjusting to the times, they would have been left behind. The key to overcoming failure is to stay flexible. Instead of seeing failure as a wall blocking your path, see it as a sign pointing you in a new direction. Be willing to change, to try something different, to improve. The ones who succeed are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who keep evolving until they get it right. So if you ever feel like failure is closing doors for you, remember this: those doors might be leading you to something even better. Adapt, innovate, and keep going, because the next attempt could be the one that changes everything. Success is never guaranteed and failure is always a possibility, but the biggest mistake you can make is letting the fear of failure stop you from taking risks. Playing it safe might keep you comfortable, but it will never lead you to greatness. Those who achieve extraordinary success are the ones who embrace uncertainty, step into the unknown, and take risks despite the possibility of failing. Think about the biggest breakthroughs in history. The Wright brothers dared to dream of human flight when everyone thought it was impossible. They faced countless failures, but they kept experimenting, kept learning, and eventually they changed the world. If they had feared failure, we might not have airplanes today. Risk and uncertainty are part of every great achievement. Entrepreneurs invest in ideas that may fail. Artists create without knowing if their work will be appreciated. Athletes push their limits without a guarantee of victory. But those who succeed are the ones who take the leap despite the fear. They understand that failure is not a sign to stop. It's part of the process. Yes, taking risks means you might fail, but never taking risks guarantees that you will stay exactly where you are. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who are willing to fail in pursuit of something greater. They understand that every risk carries a lesson, every mistake brings growth, and every failure is a step closer to success. So don't let fear control your choices. Take the risk, step outside your comfort zone, embrace uncertainty, because the biggest rewards in life come to those who dare to go after them. Success is never achieved alone. No matter how talented, determined, or hardworking you are, the people you surround yourself with will play a major role in shaping your journey. When failure strikes, the right people will lift you up, push you forward, and remind you why you started in the first place. The wrong people, on the other hand, will discourage you, make you doubt yourself, and hold you back from reaching your full potential. Think about the most successful individuals in the world: entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and leaders. Behind every one of them is a strong support system. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak. Elon Musk has teams of innovators, and Michael Jordan had coaches and teammates who pushed him to be better. Success is never a solo mission. It is built through relationships, mentorship, and collaboration. When failure happens, the voices around you matter. If you surround yourself with negative, doubtful people, their words will reinforce your fears and make you question your ability to rise again. But if you have mentors, supportive friends, and people who believe in you, their encouragement will help you see failure as just another step toward success. Your environment has power over your mindset. Choose to be around those who inspire you, who challenge you to grow, and who refuse to let you give up. Success is contagious, and so is negativity. Make sure you are surrounding yourself with people who push you to be your best, especially when failure makes you want to quit. So ask yourself, who do you have in your corner? If you want to go far, go together. Because the right people won't let failure define you. They'll help you turn it into a lesson, a comeback, and ultimately, a victory. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's not about luck or shortcuts. It's about showing up every single day, putting in the effort, and staying committed even when progress feels slow. The people who achieve greatness are not necessarily the most talented, but they are the most consistent. They keep working, improving, and pushing forward even when no one is watching. Think about an athlete training for a championship. They don't just practice when they feel motivated. They train every day, even when they're tired, even when it's hard. That discipline and dedication are what set them apart. The same applies to entrepreneurs, artists, and anyone striving for success. The secret is not in one big breakthrough, but in the small, daily efforts that build up over time. Failure often makes people want to quit. It feels discouraging, like all the effort was wasted. But the truth is, Every setback is just another part of the process. Every great success story includes struggles, failures, and moments of doubt. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is persistence. The ones who win are the ones who refuse to give up. Even when progress feels slow, even when results don't come immediately, consistency is what keeps the journey moving forward. Hard work may not always bring instant success, but it always brings growth. And growth, over time, leads to the breakthrough you've been working for. So don't stop. Keep showing up. Keep putting in the effort and keep believing in the process. Because the ones who keep going even when it's hard are the ones who eventually turn their failures into fortune. Failure is not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. No matter how many times you fall, what truly matters is how you rise. Every setback you face is an opportunity to make a comeback, to prove to yourself and the world that failure does not define you. The greatest successes are often born from the deepest struggles, and the people who achieve greatness are the ones who refuse to let failure be the final word. Think about someone like J.K. Rowling. Before she became one of the most successful authors in history, she faced rejection after rejection. Publishers told her that her book wouldn't sell. She was broke, struggling, and at her lowest point, but she didn't give up. She kept pushing forward, kept believing in her vision, and eventually she changed the literary world with Harry Potter. Her setback became her greatest comeback. The truth is, life will test you. You will experience failure, rejection, and moments where you feel like quitting. But the key to success is understanding that every failure carries the seed of a comeback. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the decision to keep going despite it. Instead of seeing failure as a reason to stop, see it as proof that you're trying, learning, and growing. Let every obstacle fuel your determination rather than break your spirit. The greatest stories of success come from those who turn their pain into power, their struggles into strength, and their failures into victories. So whatever challenges you're facing, whatever setbacks you've endured, remember, your story isn't over yet. Get back up, keep fighting, and turn your setback into the greatest comeback of your life. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of the journey toward it. Every setback, every mistake, and every challenge carries a lesson, a new opportunity, and a chance to grow. The most successful people in history did not achieve greatness by avoiding failure. They achieved it by refusing to let failure stop them. What separates those who succeed from those who give up is resilience, persistence, and the courage to keep moving forward despite setbacks. Failure is not a signal to quit. It is a test of how badly you want to succeed. It pushes you to adapt, to work harder, and to discover strengths you never knew you had. So the next time you face failure, don't see it as an end. See it as the beginning of something greater. Learn from it, rise above it, and use it as fuel to reach new heights. Because those who turn failure into a lesson, a motivation, and a stepping stone are the ones who ultimately turn it into fortune. Your story is still being written. Keep going, keep pushing, and turn every setback into the comeback that defines your success.